All right, welcome to our week 3 feature matches here for Planechase League. Looking at John P. Goku or Go Home. He's going to be facing off against Chris York, our feature match, kind of a regular character here, coming in almost every week it seems. And Justin's going to be looking at his hand. So what's going on over there with Chris York?
Well, Chris, as we saw last week, was running a Abzan base and doesn't look like he's changed it so far. He currently has all three colors of his mana base and has, some good cards. It's the Valentine Dean of
Oh,
can't
yeah,
quite get remember what the last part of it is, but it was that one of those deans from it was a black green dean from Strixhaven.
yeah. It was
So you also
Lisette. It
can
was
follow that up.
Lisette on the
Yeah.
other side. Yeah.
Yes. So he has like a couple of three
Oh,
drops with
there it is.
Disposal Mummy, a Blood Type Pretender, with Battery's Acolyte to hopefully pump two of his creatures, and some removal with Cast Down.
Yeah, so John P. and I can speak a little bit because I did play him the other day. He's running a Sultai base 5 color control deck. Uh, so if Chris York's able to get off to a reasonable start here, might have a bit of trouble. But John is going to get a Falco Spara coming into play next turn. Also in his hand, he has a Splendid Agony, which he can't cast yet without black mana. He has an Ingenious Mastery, which is the Strixhaven, is the draw X one. You have to, it's 3 plus X. And then a Grasp of Darkness, which he just drew, which he also cannot cast. So if Chris York has an answer to this Spara, which is not an easy card to answer,
Yeah,
he could.
unfortunately, the hit Falco Sparrow is legendary, so it can't be casted down. But
And
the shield counter does help in preventing it dying, anyways.
yeah, so on top of John's deck now is a Lorehold command. Wow, that's quite the card. Again, cannot cast it just yet. So we have a little bit of like a theme here, a theme battle with these two players because back in Strixhaven League, and you could hear it on John's podcast that he did last week. He was actually a first timer in the league. He was in the faction led by Chris York, who was the Lorehold Dean. And he did actually credit Chris York for sort of showing him the ropes and giving him a lot of advice as a first-time leaguer just about the format itself. And he did make top 8, and he's gone on to win a league and be leader of River Tears and all that. So it's a little student versus teacher here. Let's see what comes of this. So John will be able to cast his Splendid Agony if he wants to next turn. He has a swamp on top. He's going to cast his Ingenious Mastery here as a 5 mana divination, it looks like.
How many lands do you suppose he has from like the past two sets just to help him do his 5 color plan?
Yeah, well, we have landed on planes that are rife with fixing here on our first 3 weeks. So, I think I personally was hoping for maybe a little bit of more of these deck restriction planes, maybe ones that with not as much fixing, keep people a little more honest with their mana base. But yeah, everyone is rife with fixing. So I assume Chris York is doing this for some reason. He's just gonna
Yeah, he's
okay,
baiting with Animal Sanctuary.
okay.
I mean, it's effectively tying down 3 mana to get rid of the shield counter, which I think John will still take.
Yeah, well, it's better than using a card because anybody who played New Capenna, you'll know that a shield counter almost always is like gets a card basically out of the opponent's hand. Like you almost
Yeah,
always trade a shield counter for a card, whether it's like a removal spell or a creature. Oh,
yeah.
here's
At
the
first, shield
Inspiring.
counters were not thought of highly, just because like the creatures that it came on were like very small, were like
Or overcosted.
mostly non-threats. Yeah, very overcosted like for what it was. And it turns out, wow, shield counter just super important and like super annoying to deal with.
Yeah, the commons did not look too scary, like a 6 mana 6/3, a 4 mana 2/2 that gets +2/+0 when it's your turn. Like these cards did not look very frightening, but both those cards ended up being role players, not standouts. But the shield counter got a card, and then don't even have to talk about Disciplined Duelist, how
Oh
insane
yeah.
that card was. Yeah, so John, he's got his black mana here, so Splendid Agony is on the table. He's got a Sky Scanner in hand. He's got a Tatiova there on top of the deck. That's the Tatiova from Dominaria United, so the 3 mana one.
Ah, okay. I was kind of hoping for like the one from original Dominaria because that card was even more unhappy to play against.
Yeah, well, they're actually very different cards. For a card that's depicting the same character and that cares about lands, they're like completely different cards. Because one of them ends the game really fast, and the other one just sets you up and builds advantage over time. And the 3 mana one just sort of puts the pressure on immediately.
Is there a counter spell coming for Firha here?
Nope. This Furia is going to resolve. If he draws a swamp, he can Grasp of Darkness it, but otherwise, it's going to be in play here.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you did listen to John's podcast last week, he was 7-3 to end the week, and now if you look in the standings, you see he's 8-6. So he actually went on a 3 match losing streak to start the week, and then he finally found somebody he could beat yesterday, which is me. So getting him back in the right direction here. So and Chris York is also 8-6, so should be evenly matched here. Tatiova's gonna start putting on the pressure here. Yeah, so if you can't get Future off the board, might as well just make the body, kind of irrelevant here.
Just get a bigger board. You know, if you can't beat your opponent's creatures, make a bigger army and hopefully kill them with your superior numbers.
Yeah, like this is very effective so far. This 5/5 is a bit of an issue, though. I would say.
Yeah, and it's going to be even worse when this 5/5 gets suited up with a Cartouche of Ambition.
Ooh, Cartouche of
Ambition.
Ambition. That is a favorite of mine.
It's
All
going
right.
to kill off one of your favorite
Oh
cards
no.
and also make this a 6/6 lifelink.
Yeah, 6/6 lifelink now because I was gonna say you could put a sky scanner in front of it. You could find some things to put in front of it, but this having lifelink is good. Actually, I didn't know which creature type was named for the Bloodline Pretender.
I believe it was Angel.
Okay, so that's where it got the bonus counter there.
It got a few counters from like the Animal Sanctuary and one counter from Fearha.
Yeah, yeah, I got two counters from the Animal Sanctuary. All right.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
so he's just
as we
gonna
all know, a
yeah.
large lifelink creature does beat off an army usually.
Yeah, so now he's got another swamp on top of his deck, which opens up Grasp of Darkness. So he can play Grasp of Darkness in combination with blocking to get that Bloodline Pretender off the board. So what's York been drawing here in the turns? I know he still has a cast down, I suppose.
Yeah, he hasn't been drawing land, but he has drawn a King Darien at some point,
Okay, yeah, okay, that's a real good one too.
and the others are just a bunch of like creatures and still the one cast down.
Okay, yeah, cast down not particularly effective against John's threats here. He's gonna play this Darian just to increase his board presence. He's effectively adding 5 power here to the board. Okay.
This triple block might not go as planned.
Yeah, so the cast down's gonna come in handy here, knocking out basically all three of these creatures at once. And John
I
does
said
not
I
have a
would.
response here, so this is just block and pray, and his prayers did not get answered here.
I
And
wonder if there's any consideration to
he
get a
gets to draw.
quadruple block. Because he got blocked with like everything but the Tatiova, and like would have been guaranteed to kill it if for not like a protection spell. Because
Yeah,
the four.
yeah. The odds that he could lose all 4 of those creatures by blocking with him is pretty low. The odds that he could lose all 3, if Chris Ark has almost anything there, he could easily lose all of them. But blocking with 4 seems safer unless he has like exactly something like the Battle Rage Blessing, Death Touch, Indestructible. Like that would that would be
Yeah.
one that worked, but there would be very very fewer ways to lose everything here. And now Chris Sharks just looks like he's not going to have a problem finishing this game. I mean, there's a Grasp of Darkness here to take out something, or at least make the Bloodline Pretender smaller, or kill Firja, or he could kill
Well,
something.
what he can do is like double block the Bloodline Protection when it attacks, and then could kill off Darien.
Yeah, kill off Darien, and then he's still going to lose both creatures. Yeah, there's he has options, but none of them are great here.
Unfortunately, the animal sanctuary could also just stop that plan from happening.
Yeah, so the rest of John's hand with the grasp is an island, and then the lower hold command, which is still uncastable. Which is again, that's the risk we run here, with the more colors you play, the more likely it is that you have a card that's stranded in your hand that you really would like to cast.
I mean, the three sets that we've opened, yes, there's lands, but like
Okay, so he's just gonna go
you're
after
not guaranteed to get
he's just
them.
gonna go after the angel here. He doesn't like the card draw, I guess. But Fridger's already drawn, I think, two cards. So
Yep. You know, you it's
it's
Firha usually is just like you can't always it kind of just like works with itself because you draw a card and it lets you have like a higher chance of just playing a second spell every turn. So it's effectively like a draw spell, an extra card every turn almost.
yeah. So it's almost like a card that you mentioned before, the 5 mana Tatiova, right? It just keeps fueling itself.
Yeah.
It's like every time you do the thing, whether it's cast your second spell or play a land, you're finding more things to cast, which or finding more lands to play in that case. So Spying Overseer over here too, but this one's superior. It's a 3/2, and Death Knell Berserker with the built-in trigger here if when it dies. But yeah, this is just not gonna work out. He drew a negate. Uh, Chris just he it looked even for a while, but Chris just pulled ahead there. The Bloodline Pretender just getting so big, and John not being able to cast his grasp, not being able to cast uh, his Lorehold command, and even like he couldn't cast Splendid Agony. He could have actually tried to hit the. He could have actually hit the Bloodline Pretender like right away if he had a swamp earlier. So and black does seem to be one of his main colors. Looks like a Salt-Tide base. So yeah,
Yeah, just the mana problems going against what his deck is trying to do, because his deck, obviously being a more controlling deck, wants to get rid of your opponent's valuable cards, stop them from like accruing value, and so that you can start pulling ahead. And
yeah,
the mana problems just stop them from being able to doing that.
yeah. So it looks like he might not have as many duels as we were thinking. He's running 10 to 19 basic lands, which is means he doesn't have that many duels actually. Strangely enough.
Yeah, for 5 color, it's a very
It's a
low
little low.
amount uh,
Yeah.
for a dual lands.
Yeah, so he has some wisdom. He has a Reclaim the Waste that fixed Path of the World Tree, another one of my personal favorites that fixes. So he has a couple things there, but yeah, and he's just running all of his rares, right? Like Crux of Fate, Cruelty of Gix, the Nico Aris, just everything. The one
Very
thing that
powerful cards.
he's talked about on his podcast that I would like to see him assemble is the Risen Reef Maskwood Nexus combo. I've I've heard tales of how he's won a game or two on the back of that little interaction there.
Yeah, just make every creature you played essentially a coiling oracle.
Yeah, I mean, Maskwood Nexus is in his opening hand here. Well, I think he's going to keep. He has a Sky Scanner. He has a Serpentine Curve, which isn't doing anything yet, and he has lands. He has all of his main colors here. He has the rest of his hand. He has a Forest Swamp Island, so he's set up. He won't be able to play a red card, but I think he has very few.
So Chris has chosen to keep a hand without black mana.
Okay, so what else is he holding on to there?
So currently, with the mana he has in his hand, he could only cast a Rumor Gatherer, as he only has access to green and white mana.
Okay.
And the cards he will not be able to cast an Eliminate or a Death Knell Berserker anytime soon, so long as that problem persists.
Yeah, he's not under pressure yet. I mean, we have Nico Aris, which is castable, but that card is just—it's kind of like a pretty slow card advantage engine, and like the abilities are very very specific. So
Yeah,
Rumor Gatherer, he
nor
could he could just fire off his removal if he's scared of that Rumor Gatherer getting value. He drew a Mage Hunter's Onslaught for turn. It's either that or like a Maskwood Nexus, which doesn't do anything yet, or a Nico Aris, which is pretty low impact for X's one. So yeah, he's just gonna kill that Rumor Gatherer. He's gonna say, "I don't like the ability. I don't want him to scry or potentially draw. So let's just get rid of that right now." Though he doesn't have any other removal.
But yeah, if I'm in Chris York's shoes, like yes, I'm worried about the black panda, but like your opponent just kind of used a premium removal on like a creature that is not the most threatening in the world.
Nope. All right, here's the
But
Bloodline Pretender. He's back.
he has chosen elf this time.
Seems like Chris just always gets this animal sanctuary every time we're seeing it here. All right, so he's drawn his mountain for any further for any red cards he draws, and he's got a little eye twitch here in the air. So he's got two little flyers here. One that drew him a card on the way in, and one that will draw him a card on the way out. Okay, he's just gonna cash it in here for a lesson. All right, see what he has access to. Like I did say, he lost 3 matches, so he has three lessons on top of the ones that we got front at the beginning of the week. So his
So
his
do you
his extra lessons are pest summoning, fractal summoning, and I think a second copy of expanded anatomy. He's just gonna get a land. Sciences which gets a land.
how do you think lesson and learn will pan out in this format as compared to when it did in simply just Strixhaven?
Well, I can speak from experience. There was, I think it was Vow League where I decided I wanted to open a Strixhaven, and I immediately opened a mascot exhibition with my first pack, which sort of locked me into opening Strixhaven for the rest of the league. And I can tell you, your lessons are only as good as how many learn cards you end up getting, because I did not have a lot. So you need the learn cards, because we get fronted the lessons, and there's going to be one lesson per every subsequent pack. So you need to learn cards. It's not going to take over. You're not going to have enough learn cards really for it to be a huge part of your strategy. It's just an extra little, it is a little extra thing that you can do, but it can't. I don't think it can be a predominant strategy. What's your
How do you
thoughts
think?
on all this?
Personally, like yes, you need to learn cards. You're not going to be guaranteed to get them in the pack, or you're not going to be guaranteed to get the one that you want, because you could just end up. You could be playing like a certain deck, and you get a learn card from a different color, and then you're just like you
Yep.
can't play it anyways. But also, like I'm thinking, like the learn cards in general are very, unmana efficient, and just because they draw a spell that's also not very mana efficient does not necessarily make it good, especially in a league where like you're getting cards from various planes, your deck is getting strong and very, uh,
Yeah, you want the learn
consistent in a way.
cards. Yeah, you want the learn cards to stand on their own, and most of them often don't. The uncommons and the rares being exceptions.
Yes,
Um, like the eye twitch is good. The professor of symbology, I think it's called, is good. I opened it's called Dream Strix, the flyer that gets one when it dies. So it's like, yeah, these are very good, but a lot of these commons not so interesting. So looks like John's gonna make use of this Tangle Trap here to just try and kill this Bloodline Pretender that was so upsetting for him last game.
well, he sees the animal sanctuary again, and it's just like I don't want to deal with this huge thing again.
So now I
But
think
I
this
could,
is now I think this is where John's gonna sort of take over the game here. He has a Nico Aris. He has a Serpentine Curve, which is going to be for 5, or possibly more, because he has a pest summoning and an Into the Royal in his hand that he can cast beforehand. So he's just getting value here. He's drawing a card. He's playing. He doesn't need the Sky Scanner in play. He says, "I want to draw another card with it," and I have 4 card draws here, sitting and waiting. So Chris needs to do something fast. And a
oh
Mesa
yeah, he's just
Cavalier in the face of a Sky Scanner is not not the answer he's looking for.
yeah, John just continuing with his game plan his deck is supposed to have. He's just trying to outvalue the opponent, and when the opponent's not doing much, it's not very hard to exactly do that.
Oh yeah, that is very true. Yeah, so he's enacting his game plan here, right? He has a Into the Royal in his hand. He has, like I said, past summoning. He has 5 card draws sitting here waiting for him. These shard tokens, which are unique to, I believe Nico Aris is the only card that makes a shard token. They're just
Sure
like
is.
they're a clue, but better because you get to scry. They're enchantments rather than artifacts. So, but yeah, I don't know if we'll see shard tokens again, but they play in a lot of the same design space as clue tokens, obviously. All right, so he's gonna tap. He's gonna tap the Mesa Cavalier or he's gonna tap the Sky Scanner to hopefully get the Mesa Cavalier some damage onto Nico Aris, and John is highlighting his Into the Royal, which signals his intention to cast it. All right, so Krizork's going to get his swamp finally, it looks like.
Yes. I'm surprised he didn't actually get the environmental sciences with his field. Oh no, it wasn't him that casted the field trip.
No, it was, yeah. John was the one that cast the two learn cards.
But yeah, like you see, like these common learn cards that are played, like study break, it taps for like two things in one turn. It's good if you're aggressive, but like besides that, you like maybe stall the game out a bit more. And like it really depends on what your deck is, but study break's not for every deck.
Yeah, Study Break
And
seems like a week one card, right? Like, you play it early in the league, and then when your deck gets better, you don't need it anymore. So John's really
even
he's picked up a lot of learn cards. So he has a hunt for specimens now in hand. So he is
that
not going to
that's
run out of
that is a learn
things.
card I do actually think is fine.
Yeah. I was a fan of that one. He's also got an Aven Initiate here in his hand. That 3/2 flyer with Embalm. It's just like another 2-for-1, even though it's 7 to Embalm, but it's you're still gonna trade for two cards eventually. He's got a
I mean,
Zoth consumption as well, which is he's probably gonna save it to cast it for the spell side rather than the land.
does
And
he also have
just
a veto to make it deal 8?
no, which we saw that on one of the matches being streamed last week. I believe Sawyer was yeah, he made his opponent lose 8 with this. All right, so eliminate gets to kill a 7/7, so that's an efficient use of it.
Just a very clean answer.
In comes the Leech Fanatic. I'd not be surprised if he just okay. He's gonna take it. He doesn't. He wants both of his creatures in play. Right,
I
Mason
think he
Cavalier
just
is
sees
back.
that his Planeswalker is not going to die, so he's like, even if it does, it's not that big of a deal. I still have 5 cards to be drawn on the field.
Yeah, he could also kill this Leech Fanatic with the ability, I believe.
I think it does 2 damage for every card you draw on this turn.
Two target tap creatures, so
Yes.
it'll do 4 damage. So he didn't even have to draw the card here. So on its own, it just says -1, deal 2 damage to a tap creature if you haven't drawn extra cards. But what are you doing if you're not drawing extra cards, right?
Drawing cards does lead to winning games more often than not.
Yeah, so John, you might be thinking John's not making much inroads onto Chris York's life total, but the thing with the control deck is that you don't need to. Once you've got the game sort of in your hand, you'll find a way to finish it. And his life total is not in danger at all. At 23, he has a face-up removal in hand with the introduction to Annihilation, so any premium card is going to get targeted by that. Right,
Yeah, John is just biding his time, trying to find a finisher essentially at this point.
yeah, so here's a Cartouche. So that's going to kill the Sky Scanner, so you can't keep bouncing it back and forth.
And then just gonna get a trade with something that can come back.
Yeah, this is if I'm John, I'm okay with all of this. Yeah. So okay, so here's Inspiring Overseer. So what else is Chris York holding here to deploy in future turns?
He has a Giada Font of Hope that he just drew off his Inspiring Overseer, a Death Knell Berserker, a Girder Goons, and Arvad the Cursed. So he only has creatures, not really any way to really interact with the opponent. So John just has free reign to do whatever he wants.
And John got a heck of a card here with Rutha. So this off consumption will probably deal 8 now that Rutha has shown up. So I think we might have spoken too soon there.
Rutha is quite a learner here.
Yeah, Rutha is yeah. I was facing down that yesterday, one of the games I lost, and he made two. I think he made 2/7/7s or 8/8s with fractal summoning, and then killed off 2 things. And the thing about Rutha is like if you wait until the right point in the game, like it's kind of unkillable, right? Because like if you have any instant in your hand and have the mana to get it back, it's like they can't even kill it if you play it right.
Yeah,
Right?
the only thing you can really do is like you have to make them bounce it to their hand, and then well, I think they have to have actually something to cast with it though. Like
Yeah,
you
you
actually
do.
have to have a
Yeah,
target.
yeah. Still, well, I was like, you could have like any instant, right? You could keep like an opt or something, or like
Sure.
or a kill spell, or basically any instant that is readily castable. Yeah. So John's just plugging away here, doing his thing. He's trying to path to the world tree, so another 3-for-1 here. He's just gonna He's just gonna take his time. He's in no hurry. He has five pest tokens here from all of his learning cards and his lessons.
Yeah, Chris
And
has draw interaction and Deadly Alliance, but you don't really want a Deadly Alliance, a 1/1 pest token.
yeah, he could he could try and Deadly Alliance this Rutha, but here's the Broken Wings for the turn. Now gets him two kills here. He's
Two
just
angels for the price of one.
this is quite the display here. Uh, really showing the power of when the five color deck works out. As much as this is displaying, the power of when the five color deck works out, last game was a display of what happens when it doesn't work out and you can't find your mana, and your opponent just overwhelms the board and you're left there with cards you need to cast and can't. So, you know, the five
Well, it's
color
better.
giveth and taketh away sometimes.
Well, yeah, it's good that it shows that like it doesn't work out all the time because like if it does work out all the time, what's stopping people from doing this every time? There has to be a downside, and
Oh
the
yeah,
downside is very severe.
yeah. It's you can't cast your spells.
Yep.
When you're two colors or even when you're three colors, you'll still probably be able to cast most of your spells. So, but as we creep into the later weeks, I think people are gonna be more and more tempted by all the colors just because of the fixing and the powerful cards. Like, these packs of
Yeah. Yeah.
Strixhaven are stacked. These are packs where you can get three rares, right? And all of them are really good sometimes, right? Right, so in comes a Girder Goons. He's just sort of cycling for 4 damage, a 2/2, and a card, which is a fine thing to do. But
I think
it's
I've had the opposite interpretation of Strixhaven because I've seen like the packs that I've seen open are just like they seem so underwhelming. Like yes, you could play like roulette with the rares, but like most of the time, if you don't get like a rare, your pack is very underwhelming and it's
oh
not going
yeah,
to add much.
yeah. Well, I'm not complaining. I've had some pretty funky packs. Like just yesterday, I got a pack with a Dreamstrix and an Approach of the Second Sun, and then the next pack I got had a Rowan and Will, and also Demonic Tutor, which was quite a
Oh yeah,
surprise. So it's just like, these packs can be stacked more so than other
yes,
sets, right? And then you also have, there has been I think there's been one mascot exhibition open so far. So I think I think everybody is hoping that they get it, but they're hoping that nobody else gets it because that card's kind of a boogeyman type of card, right? Especially thinking back to Strixhaven League. Right. So are any of
Chris.
Chris York's options good here?
Well, he's just going to keep fighting the uphill battle here with just playing a creature out and hoping that it does something against this board.
Yeah, so in the meantime, off of his Path of the World tree, John found Grasp of Darkness and Splendid Agony. So along with Rutha, Chris York is not going to have any creatures in play. He's not going to be able to keep creatures on the board.
Yep. It's just also the nature of control decks.
Yep.
How he
So
never applied pressure, so the control deck just got to freely get to the late game.
yeah. So you know he has Grasp of Darkness in hand, but he doesn't need to cast it. He can untap. He can cast Rutha, and he could kill off two things with the Grasp of Darkness. So you know this is exactly what he wants to do. Just draw cards in the interim. He's trying to bury in books cruelty of Gix. He just now has to decide how he wants this game to end because it is going to end in his favor.
How many
Most
cards does he have
assuredly.
in hand at the moment?
Just 8.
Ah, okay. With the way this game's going, it'll probably get to like 10 at some point.
With
Maybe even 15.
with three more card draws on board.
Yeah.
Yeah, this
I never
is
draw too many cards.
yeah, this is as fun to watch as it is probably miserable to be on the other side of.
Yeah, it's like
Because
on John's side of the board, you're like in a candy store. There's just candy everywhere, and then like on Chris's side, you're just like the person outside the candy store watching everyone watching that kid get everything.
yeah, we just don't see a lot of control decks in League. Usually, when somebody is winning in convincing fashion, it's like they curved out and turn 6, 7, they're wrapping up the game. And here, it's just it's getting towards the end here, but this is a slow beat down here with all these little creatures.
I'm actually very surprised in this league's particularly. I've seen a lot more slower decks and more controlling decks. not just counting mine. And they do work out, like just like the nature of like the cards you got from each set just kind of fit well in a way.
Yeah, so he's
Like
gonna. I think he can end. He could almost assuredly end the game with this Lorehold command, or get pretty close to it either way. So yeah, he tutored and he instantly went for the Lorehold command with like no hesitation. And Lorehold command interestingly says all your creatures get haste. So I believe if he plays creatures before, he can grant them haste here.
unfortunately, it
So
only has the one red mana, so it can't just double the lower hold command.
he would need 3 red mana to do all that, but not to worry. I
Oh, is
think he's gonna give all of his creatures +1/+0 indestructible and haste, and kill off that 2/2.
Oh, Chris could actually, survive. He has a Deadly Alliance and a Sajiri Shelter.
Oh, he's actually because of the Sajiri shelter. He's just throwing the damage at his life total. Smart play because he sees the protection spell. So okay, so the 6/6 dies. All right, so he
When did
gets
he
to
see the
live.
protection spell? Oh, he saw the protection
Yeah, he
spell
saw
due to the
from the
trophy.
cruelty of Gix. So he knows it was there. So he said, let's just throw it as life total. Um, so I mean, Chris York will survive the turn. He'll be at 2 with a Zoff consumption in John's hand. So we can start thinking about the next game here. Yeah. So the Sujiri Shelter keeps his guy alive. We go to the next turn, and we get a game 3, which is more than we could say for last week, where
Yeah,
the
last week
matches
all the
were
games
very
went
short. This is
all the
the
games went blazing fast.
that was a feature match record, I think, for the least amount of total minutes. Ah, I think he's pandering to me here with getting back an inspiring overseer when there's probably some other crazy thing he could have gotten, but he's just gonna make me happy here.
You got the inspiring overseer from
Copying it,
Chris's graveyard too.
copying it just because.
Yeah, yeah.
And now he's highlighting the inspiring overseer just to make sure I keep seeing it, and I like what I see. All right, well, if you didn't think 5-color control is real, well, it's very real.
This would be the kind of deck I would love to have land destruction against. Just like take out their red or white source because they're splashing those.
Yeah, and like I said, he's a little bit low on the dual lands, I guess. Um, I don't see all ice. His lands are the bottom few of his lands here are cut off, but I see 19 basics, which means he's probably playing about 6 or 5 non-basic. He has a Zoff consumption that he may or may not be counting as a land. Yeah, so John he's full on control. Like his only creatures that cost 2 or less mana is the 2 hunt for specimens and an eye twitch, and even his 3 drops. Like he has a Skyscanner, Tatiova, Risen Reef, Rutha, like inspiring overseer. Like he's full on control. Like the only way for him to win is to take over the game. Like there's not even like he can accidentally get an aggro start. There's some decks that are controlling that. You can just play a couple 2/2s and your opponent stumbles and you win quickly. I think what we saw last game is more or less how he's planning to win most of his games here, which is fun for us to watch. Not so fun for the opponent sometimes though. Did Chris make any sideboarding changes here?
No, Chris
Okay.
saw what he was up against and thought that if I don't stumble on mana, it would be good enough to apply. I would be able to apply enough pressure where this situation doesn't happen again.
Yeah, if I were him, I'd be in shock. Like that was like such a display of power here. All right, so John's
So
got he's got 5 lands, a field trip, and a maelstrom. No, the masculine nexus. Sorry, and he's keeping that and drawing another land. What's Chris looking at over there?
well, he kept the hand with no white this time,
Okay, and I
and
seem to remember that green was like a very light touch in his deck, and it was mostly just white black.
it is, I believe, the only green card he's specifically running is King Darien, so that might be the only splash.
Yeah. Okay.
And he has drawn his white source this time, so he will be able to cast every spell in his deck.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
he again has that Cartouche of Ambition.
Nice.
He's gonna be playing Anointer Priest, and he has Girder Goons next turn that he can blitz in. One of
Okay.
like a staple card from Capenna because of just how good rated it is.
Well, John drew about the best card he could have drawn.
A 3 drop.
He drew an Inspiring Overseer, but I think he might be going for Field Trip here. Yeah, he just wants to set up his lands, though. He has plenty of lands in hand, but, you know. I mean, he plays Inspiring Overseer. It doesn't block either of the creatures, so,
Yeah,
he could save it for a future turn here.
I imagine if like Chris played like a 1 drop into a 2/2, he might have considered the Inspiring Overseer just because like right now he's only taking 2 for
Yeah,
casting Field Trip. Usually
yeah.
when people play Field Trip on the play, they're taking like 5
I feel like
potentially.
yeah, I don't know all what's in Chris's sideboard, but I feel like a card like Anointed Priest is something I'd be looking to side out here for like
Yeah,
anything that has 2 power that costs 2 mana, right? Like even like a
I,
3/1 no text, I might be thinking of. Maybe not because of all the pests, but like any 2/2 with any random like little upside ability seems better than a 1/3, right?
Yeah, I saw like a Cabal Evangel, which is the two vanilla black card
Yeah,
from a Dominaria, and he hovered it and he thought about it but decided against it.
I think considering what we saw in the last game, Chris Hart needs to be full on beatdown, right? He has to play stuff early. He has to affect the board. He has to play creatures that put a clock on John before he can get all set up. And unfortunately, Anointed Priest is not that card.
Yeah, for sure. I think from what he saw, he knows he's going to lose in the late game. If it gets to that point, the chances of you winning is very hard. You have to draw in a very specific order. And it's like
I
the
will
game gets
say
harder from like turn 5, 6 all.
John has opened an astounding amount of black and green learn cards for only 3 packs of Strixhaven here. Between Field Trip, Crab Session, 2 Hunt for Specimens, like Eye Twitch, like really fortunate to have got those just in 3 packs, right? Like your average pack is going to have 1 to 2 learn cards, and then they have to be the right colors and they have to be good enough to main deck. Uh,
Yeah,
I think he's very happy about this, and I think this is going to make his deck even more frightening. All right, well he's turned his Anointer Priest into a threat here. Uh,
and this is kind of like when how this is the circumstance where like the opening four lessons for this plane comes to effect because the more learn cards you have, the you're not gonna be able to get all the lessons, but you get 4 free for just coming to this plane because that's how the rules work.
yeah, the 4 free lessons was kind of interesting. I don't think it was overpowered. I think some people were saying maybe they thought it was a little too powerful, but um, you know, I stand by the fact that your lessons are only as good as how many learn cards you can get and what they are and if you can fit them in your deck. Once you do find those learn cards and they're good enough and they go in your deck, we're now seeing the power of it. But I think what we're seeing with John, I think it's the exception rather than the rule. Uh,
Yes.
in these cases, I think you're not going to see somebody who has this many learn cards in a base of 2 colors. Right, so Chris is keeping up the aggression here, which he needs to do. He's deciding not to put his Valentine in harm's way here.
Yeah, he wants to basically kill a pest with the Gideon's
Right,
reproach.
so Gideon's going to punch this pest in the life, and at least John does gain the life. Valentine reads that non-token creatures opponents control get exiled rather than die, so he still gets all of his pest triggers here, which I think is actually a big deal. Like if he's at 11 rather than 14, that's a big difference. So what's Chris left with here?
Another land and a eliminate. So he
Okay,
just really needs to draw more creatures because he has to keep applying the pressure, and because once the gas is lifted, John will obviously take uh, control of this opportunity and
yeah.
stabilize in some way or another.
Yeah, so he has the Maskwood Nexus here. So his first 2/2 is going to die, but after that, he will be able to make a 2/2 every turn at the low cost of 3 mana, and he will be making all of his land drops here. He has 2 lands, Reclaim the Waste, Environmental Sciences in the Intro to
Okay.
Prophecy. So he's hitting all of his land drops, whether he needs them or not. But in control decks, like we did see, he had like I don't know 12 mana or something last game, and he was using all of it like every turn. So
Yeah.
pretty impressive.
Okay. So
Interesting, not sending the 2/2 in. Hmm.
probably just wants to keep the eliminate for like an actual creature, except that you can get a Valentine trigger.
Yeah, no, that is something to consider as well. Valentine, I think you have to pay 1 or 2 mana to get the token, right?
Yes, every time a non-token creature dies from your opponent, you could pay 2 mana and you get a
Okay.
1/1 pest.
Yeah, it doesn't just give you it for free, but it does always exile the creature rather
Yes.
than make you pay. Right, so he decides he does not want to cast Reclaim the Waves or Environmental Sciences yet. All right, so he has a Broken Wings and a Scoured Barrens, which I imagine both will be going to the bottom here. Yep,
Yeah.
and yeah, both players repping the Lorehold sleeves. So, ooh, Splendid Agony. Okay, that's a that's a useful one. That
Yeah,
can
I'll get the Valentine.
yeah. Well, he could basically, he could 2 for 1 in his. I mean, when he goes for it, his 2/2 will die, but he could kill Valentine and put a -1 counter on the token. Oh,
Okay, so Chris has drawn the Journey to Oblivion. That will spell
okay.
the end of the Masquerade Nexus.
Yeah, this is gonna make John's life actually pretty hard here, considering his hand of just like essentially 4 lands, 2 lands, and then 2 spells that go get more lands. And like I think he was counting on this Masco Nexus to not necessarily win, but at least hold down the fort until he found more things to do.
Okay, so here might be the point where Chris might actually kill a 2/2.
Oh yeah, I think for sure. You know, it, I don't think I don't think he would be at the point of siding it out, but eliminate this deck has fewer targets for eliminate than possibly any deck I've ever seen in a league match.
Yeah. Well, John is blocked in the one way where Eliminate actually gets both his creatures.
All right, and he couldn't count on that being the last card, so
Yeah.
there's some trouble. There's some trouble brewing here. Okay, all right. So Academy Journey Mage actually kind of solves a lot of the issues here.
Yeah. What do you bounce though? Do you bounce the token or the
I think
Anointer Priest?
you just bounce the token because now the Anointed
Oh,
Priest is a
can I
one
give out the
three.
priest?
So
Okay, yeah.
John was he's this Academy Journey Mage actually just makes this now. I mean, they're both kind of top decking. I mean, John has 3 cards in hand, but none of them
Okay.
are impacting the board.
So Chris has drawn a Rumor Gatherer. So what he can do is
Okay.
attack with the Anointer Priest and then embalm it to actually get a scry.
Yeah, I don't know if he's there just yet. All right, so now John's drawn a Rona's Vortex, which can get rid of something. I don't know if he values to get rid of either of these creatures just yet, but once he finds something, it will be going away.
Can the Rise Vortex target the Journey to Oblivion, or is it just like
I believe it's creature or planeswalker, but blue usually is able to target non-land permanents sometimes with their bounce spells, but I think because this one can actually just act as a more or less hard removal, they limited it to creatures and potentially planeswalker.
yeah? Because if it was able to hit the Journey to Oblivion, I think the game would be more or less over, just because how sheer good draws that John has in his deck.
I mean, if John knew exactly how this game was going to play out, he would have not put Broken Wings on the bottom. But it's
Yeah, it's true.
it's shuffled back now with the two land searches he just did. So, but obviously he didn't know that his thing was going to get killed by an enchantment. Yeah.
So
All right. So
Chris has drawn Study Break.
here's a Risen Reef to maybe start some momentum. I don't know how many elementals he has, but here's another land. That's good. He's not that's one dead draw gone.
I'm surprised why Chris hasn't just launched the Study Break at the end step
Just
of
to
John's turn.
just to get a lesson,
Just get
right?
a Yeah, it just gets a
Just
lesson.
get some momentum, whatever even if it's just try to draw a card or whatever. And he's gonna do
Oh,
it
I guess
now.
also the hidden mode of Learn is you can discard a card from your hand and also draw a card.
Maybe is that what he wants to do here?
It might just be
If
better.
he has something like a pest summoning, he can actually get the trigger from the rumor gatherer, right?
He currently doesn't have it, but he
Yeah,
can get an
okay.
intro to prophecy, which is
Yeah,
also pretty okay.
yeah. That's what I was saying. Just try to draw a card, at this point in the game.
Like you get spirit summoning, expanded enemy, or introduction to prophecy. I think all of them are fine.
Yeah, none of them are gonna break the game, but let's see what he decides here.
I mean, intro to prophecy like helps you find something to break the game with.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, he's gone for the I want to kill him fast plan, and this Rona's Vortex is gonna stop all that. Yeah, but unfortunate there.
Well, at least this got rid of like the vortex. It forced him to use
Yeah,
the actual interaction. So like now Chris knows that John is also top decking, trying to find anything
yeah.
as opposed because everything's face up now.
All right, so John's got a Crush the Weak here, which is the 2 damage to everything foretell spell, so that's not going to be played for, for a minute.
The sorcery or instant?
It's a sorcery. So if
Okay, so
Chris somehow gets a big board of smaller creatures. All right, here's Fall of the Imposter. So this is this is gonna kill something in a couple turns. Yeah. So he has a 4/3, and he can grow his other creature as well, and then something's gonna get exiled.
he has redrawn the Anointer Priest.
It's back. Well, doesn't it get put to the bottom? Oh, it got put to the bottom and then he shuffled.
Yeah, he shuffled because the Broker's Hideout, so
Well, I have the same
it
thoughts
came
about it as
back.
I did on turn two, which is not good enough. I don't think.
And it gets a scry, so it's better than
Yeah,
a land.
yeah. Any creature here is good.
Okay, so he has Giada on top, which is fine. It's a flyer.
It's a threat. Yeah, this Giada is likely to prompt the 2 damage to everything.
And Chris is thinking here of buying the Journey Mage's Silence.
Interesting. Yeah,
But instead he's just gonna target the Fall of the Imposter.
yeah. He did. Last game he got rid of the Nexus with it, right? Or in the first game, I
Yeah,
think.
I think he just wants to keep the Rumor Gatherer like in play,
Yeah.
just because like Fall of the Imposter will force him to sack it.
That makes sense. Yeah, so here's a Giada, which, I mean, flying 2/2 Vigilance, big threat here, but this is likely to prompt the Crush the Weak. I mean, it is a 2 for 2, but okay, Zoff consumption, I mean, keep
Gives
him
him a life
healthy.
cushion.
Keep him healthy at least.
At this state of the game, 4 life is still very relevant.
I think he's gonna. I could see him just. Okay, yeah, he is gonna cast Crush the Weak here since he's sending with the Risen Reef.
Oh no.
Oh, yeah, he he
Oh no.
he he baited he baited a bad block here. So I mean, Just take, just take one.
Just
You're
take
at
the one.
35.
You're 35.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, here's the Mesa Cavalier just to come in and take 6 attacks to
All right.
potentially threaten
Well,
lethal.
and John's keeping on drawing lands. So
That's line number 15 on his board.
normally 4 power. Normally 4 power is a better clock than 2 power, but not when your opponent's at 37.
Yeah, where do you get all that life from?
He had some lifelink, did he? Didn't he?
Did he?
He's been gaining all the life he needs. So he's drawn a tangle.
Oh,
He's drawn a tangle trap here. He had the Cartouche of Ambition on that creature that was attacking quite a few times.
yeah, that's true. The Anarta Priest had a cartouche.
So he has Tangle Trap here, which can take out this Mesa Cavalier. I think he's going to take one more hit and see if maybe something more threatening comes down the pipeline.
Yeah, Chris is Jonathan Scores champion, and he has
Okay.
a cast down, but he's just not going to use the cast down because this 4/3 is not threatening enough to merit using the only removal in your hand.
Yeah, so John's just going to sit back here. Well, Chris says his draws have not been incredible, but they've been, just good enough. I think at this juncture. All right, so one removal draws out the other removal,
Yeah,
and here stands a 2/3.
I just imagine like must have so many live draws here. Any learn card gets him a huge fractal essentially,
Well, right on cue. There's a
or
hunt.
even Nico Iris would be seemingly one of the best draws as well. You just get to make like 10 shards and
Sure,
like
yeah.
you just kind of take over from there.
Or even the draw X card, the
Yeah,
ingenious mastery. All right.
yeah.
This is going to be, what, 10 or something? Even bigger. 9, 12, it's gonna be 13.
Chris must Chris must be like aching using this cast down right now because the cast down will be able to take out this 2/3. Not this 2/3, but the fractal.
Yeah, yeah. When you're at 30, I think you can be pretty selective about what you're using removal on.
And like he had a flyer. He's just drawn another one actually, inspiring overseer, your favorite.
Yay.
But he's gonna decide to draw off his land first, which
Okay.
I believe he yes he has figured out that inspiring overseer first is better.
Yeah, it's cheaper, right? Both of them draw a card, and one of them costs makes you tap
Yes.
five lands,
So
and
he's
the
so
other
he's
is
found
cheaper.
another inspiring overseer off the inspiring overseer,
I'm
and
inspired.
now he's found a splatter goblin. So he's just effectively drawn three this turn.
Look, I'm inspired, so I don't know if John's is feeling inspired about these draws. He's facing down two flyers at 6 life here. So here's Nico Aris. Um, so you can cast it. It's gonna die though, right?
No, I believe he should just cast it for like X equals 5 or something and just draw 5 cards.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, because he's. I think he's hoping Chris gets distracted and attacks that instead of his low life toe. There's a shadow prophecy, which I don't think he can keep.
Uh,
He it
Casting Child Prophecy will just kill you.
he will get to look at the full five, but no. He's drawn a Serpentine Curve, which is a 15/15, but of no help here.
Without Trample, it's not gonna be doing much here.
Yeah, this is inspiring Overseer into inspiring Overseer when he's at 6. Like it looked like he had what he needed here, but okay, he's got a Broken Wings, so that's nice. So
Yeah,
Broken
that
Wings
that'll
is actually going to solve kind of both Overseers here because he can kill one and then kill the other one with Nico.
yeah. I mean that's fine. You'll
Yeah.
take that trade all the time when you're about to die.
All right, so he's gonna attack here. Says I need to get a clock here.
I think the attack
Oh
is very risky
yeah.
because now you're just gonna allow your opponent to attack back. I guess you could. I guess maybe he's thinking he just plays the Serpentine Curve and keeps the Broken Wings in his hand.
Go, Going to 2 is a risk to incur here. All right, so make another shard token. Right, so he's actually going to give up his Nico here.
Okay,
I would think
so
he would want to keep Nico to kill the other Overseer,
the good draws keep coming. Chris has drawn a Deadly Alliance,
which kills Planeswalkers or
but more importantly,
14/14s.
it kills the Fractal.
Yeah, this game is yeah. This John just he drew too many lands here, and he felt just enough behind, and didn't find what he needed in time here.
Oh, that's disgusting. He's drawn to Jerry Shelter off of his land, so he
Ooh,
can kill the Fractal and attack for lethal.
okay. So kill the Fractal. Yeah,
Oh,
Broken Wings is not going to be helpful, I guess.
what?
Does he have
He's
enough
hovering
mana to
into
do
Jerry
everything?
Shelter.
Does he have
Yes,
enough
he
mana
does.
to
He
do
has
everything? He
5.
has he has his Deadly Alliance costs what, 4?
3. Because Inspiring Overseer is like, I believe so what something's a cleric, and then the Goblin might be a warrior.
Is the Goblin a warrior? Wow. Okay. Okay. I think all the other creatures are clerics. If I had to guess.
Like, what's the party? Is cleric, rogue, warrior,
Yeah.
and priest? Oh
And
wait,
wizard.
one might be one wizard.
Well,
Actually,
the
maybe the
champion could
champion's
be
a
a
wizard.
wizard. Yeah, it could be.
Champion's a wizard, and Overseer's a
Yeah.
cleric, I believe.
Overseer I
Then
know is a cleric. So yeah. Okay. Cool. So if Chris finds the right line here, this game could be over this turn potentially. Let's see what goes down.
uh, he does. It looks like he's not going to go for it.
Okay. All right. So
He just wants.
he's gonna send both at Nico. John's just probably gonna let them both through. No
Yeah, I'm
use no, no,
surprised.
no use killing one right now.
I'm surprised you don't go for it here. Like you kill the 14/14 and you have them down on board with a protection spell. Like unless your opponent has two things, you live here.
Yeah, and he's at
You
33, so short of some crazy double striking thing, you know he's not dying to a 14/14 when he's killing anyway. So he's now found Ingenious Mastery on top, which he
four
has enough
cards.
mana that he could cast it to find some cards. So here's a Rutha. Okay, so
Uh,
Rutha can copy a Broken Wings here.
yes. He can play Rutha twice, I believe, and
And
then
he's
like
drawn a
copy two
Lorehold
things.
command. So let's see what all comes of this.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like with the amount of cards, like you just see John could potentially draw. You just have to go for the win, I think.
Yeah, and yeah. The thing is, John gets to gain 6 life here. So even if Chris York decides I want to use Sajiri's Shelter to keep my thing alive, John's going to 12. So he played the Nico, which was a successful distraction. He's now gonna claw his way back here. You know, this is exactly what we want to see with our feature matches. Just back and forth, powerful cards, inspiring overseers everywhere.
He gets 2/3/2s off of this.
Yeah, Lorehold Command is quite a pushed card here. So yeah, he gets to keep an overseer alive, but Rutha into drawing a Lorehold Command and even a Path to the World Tree there, which gains another 2 life. And draws even more cards. Like this is life is good. Is Chris gonna use the Sajiri here? I think
He's gonna kill. You're gonna kill the fractal.
yeah, makes sense. The thing is, he's making 2/3/2s here, so the fractal. I mean, it's nice having a 14/14, but he actually doesn't need it here. Funnily enough.
Right.
Oh
So
yeah, Chris.
John's just gonna Broken Wings in response here. He says no overseers. Only I'm
Yeah,
allowed
Chris.
to potentially have overseers.
Chris tries to take it safe and gets heavily punished here by John. Immense amount of card draw and late game value.
Yeah, like if Chris is at 7
Please stand
life,
clear of the
you
doors.
play it safe. But at 30 life, I think you can. I think you can be risky as needed, and just try and end the game. So so I think Chris is now scratching his head, wondering what just happened.
Next station. Stay clear. Stay clear station.
Yeah. All right. So Path to the World Tree's coming. That's going to be more life gain. It's just advantage on top of advantage here. I guess this makes up for all the turns where he was drawing lands instead of drawing spells. Uh,
I believe Caleb Mike is
yeah,
blinking.
if you can hear us, Caleb, could you please turn off your microphone? All right, so Cruelty of Gix is coming down. He's now gained even more life. Rutha's coming back. And he's just saying, I'm attacking you for 23 all of a sudden.
Yeah, decides to take a spirit down with him, but the writing is starting to look a bit on the wall. The advantage bar has, as we said, shifted completely the other way.
Yeah, in the other game, the turning the corner was a lot more gradual and slow over a period of several turns, and here it just happened in 2 turns. Nico Aris came down, he drew a bunch of cards, and the next turn the game got turned on its head with the Rutha and the Lorehold. So yeah, looks like this is just gonna end it here. You could just go get anything that
A
gets
removal
stuff
spell.
off the board. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you can get Tatiova as well. You could just
Why not?
at that point you could probably just pick a card at random and it would as long as it was a non-land it would probably get the
I mean,
job done. But
your opponent is open faced, right? Like he has no cards in hand.
he has
He has single
he
4/4 in
has a
play.
draw X left in his hand as well. So here's Grasp of Darkness that he's casting off the top with his Falco Spara just to make sure. Uh, John is he's really showing off here. Yeah.
Yeah, he can draw 2 more cards if he wants to.
Has the student surpassed the teacher? In this particular match, he has, and this is going to be another memorable feature match for the books here. This is an all timer. So thanks to both players, and very impressive showing there for John P. And we'll be back in a bit with our second feature match.